Whenever I ask the question, who is the customer? And I get the answer, everyone, well, then I know we have a problem. On the other hand, whenever I talk to a high-performing salesperson and I ask the question, who's the customer? Then I always get a very precise answer. Because the best salespeople will know not only a huge amount of what they're selling, but just as importantly, they'll understand clearly to whom they should be selling. In other words, they'll have identified their profile customer, the type of customer who's most likely to buy from them. All customers are not all equal. They have different needs, demands, and constraints. Some are more interesting to you than others. If you treat them all the same, then you're not going to be using your time effectively. A key part of the sales role is to identify and then target the profile customers. To do this, we'll use a process called segmentation to create customer segments. Now, most companies and salespeople practice some form of segmentation, but not always very effectively. The acid test in any exercise like this is to ask yourself, so what? I've done my segmentation, but so what? What will I do differently now? If the answer is nothing, well, then the exercise was a waste of time. So we have to be clear why we're using the segmentation process. We want to be able to create groups of customers with similar attributes so that we can put more focus on those customers who are more interesting to us. Which of course begs the question, well, who is interesting to us? We need to figure out what our profile customer looks like and how our profile customer behaves. In many ways, it's the behavior which is more interesting, and in particular, the buying behavior. When we talk about what the customer looks like, we need to include things like size, buying frequency, industry, and so on. And this is useful because we may be interested more in perhaps smaller companies or bigger companies or companies in certain industries or sectors and so on. And this is fairly simple because these criteria are generally obvious. It's easy to classify by size and location and industry and so on, just as it's easy to classify individuals by where they live, their lifestyle, interests, and so on. But when we consider behavior, we'll look more at the core needs which the customer is trying to satisfy. The reason I think this is more interesting is because it's these needs which we're really aiming to satisfy. If we can satisfy a customer with a particular set of needs, then we're more likely to be able to satisfy another customer with a similar set of needs. But this doesn't necessarily follow from the characteristics. Just because we have a satisfied big company in a certain sector doesn't mean we can satisfy a similar company in the same sector. Why not? Well, because they may have very different buying needs. Let's just consider an example to make the point. Let's say we're selling packaging to food manufacturers. And let's consider two potential customers. They both operate in the same region, they both make ice cream, they are similar sizes, and they sell to the same types of retailer. Now, you may think that their needs will be the same and that success with one will necessarily lead to success with the other. And in many traditional customer segmentation models, these two companies would appear in the same segment. And by implication, well, we just treat them equally. However, if we look harder, we'll see that one of them operates at the premium end of the market. It's highly innovative, invests heavily in image, so the packaging is a critical part of the product offer. For this company, their interest is on very high quality, interesting, innovative products, and price is less important. The second company operates at the value end of the market. They only produce 5 flavors. They have no interest in innovation. Their primary interest is efficiency, consistency, and cost reduction. So, two apparently very similar companies, but very different needs, and therefore very different buying behaviors. So you have to figure out two things. How does your pool of prospect customers segment? And which of these segments is most interesting for you?